Hello and welcome to Season 2 of The Sailing Show. I'm Chris Stafford, and joining me today to bring us up to date with what's happening in the world of sailing for women is former Team SCA crew members and now Magenta project sailors. Carolijn Brouwer is in the Netherlands, and in Lisbon is Abby Ehler. Welcome back to the programme, Abby. What are you doing down there?
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I'm currently in Lisbon working for the Volvo Ocean Race boatyard. There's a fair amount going on here with all the refits of the Volvo Ocean boats that were used in the last race, and they're currently going through modifications and bringing them all back to a one design fleet, and they'll be here for the next 6 months going through that. So yeah, that's where I am at the moment.
And we've got Carolijn Brouwer in the Netherlands. She jumps between the Netherlands and Australia. That's because of who she is, and she's as busy as ever, and she's going to have a new perspective. Carolijn, welcome to the programme.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to talk to you because I know we followed you, as you know. This is all Abby's fault. She showed me around the VO65 when you were in Newport, and I've been a convert to sailing ever since, and an uneducated convert, but nonetheless, I've thoroughly enjoyed following what you girls have been doing. And there has been so much happening. You know, once you get a sense of the different classes, the different things that are happening, not just in offshore, but around the world of sailing. And thanks to Abby, you do send us updates on what's happening with the Magenta project. But there's been a lot of rule changes as well. So, Abby, why don't you start with bringing everybody up to date? First of all, we should mention, as I said earlier, that Dee Kafari, who usually hosts the show, she's been busy setting the guys off on the Vendée Globe race, which she's done herself. Why don't you tell everybody why there was no women skippering those in that race, and then talk a little bit about the VOR and the Magenta project.
Yeah, I guess, well, if we start with the Vendée, which set off, which is a single-handed, round-the-world, non-stop race. There've only been a few women that have competed in that race before, namely Dee, as we've mentioned, and Sam Davies, who was the skipper of SCA. I would like to think that this year will hopefully be an anomaly, and there are plenty of female sailors in the making, coming through other classes of boats, such as the Figaro class, the Mini class, the Class 40. I think come the next Vendée race in 2020, it will be a very different start line.
And the other major news, Abby, which there's been a lot of different reaction, it seems to me, in the sailing world to the changes to the Volvo Ocean Race, which has its next edition starting in a year's time, isn't it?
Yeah, the race is due to start in October 2017. The current rule changes have come about recently to do with the makeup of your crew, and there are a number of different options that are now available to teams. Namely, this can be an all-male team consisting of 7. You can go with 7 guys, 1 female, 7 guys and 2 females, or you can be a 50-50, making up 10. And there are others, various setups. So it's quite a complicated rule, and it's almost a very unknown one, because it's going to come down to performance, and obviously the more people you take, the more weight you have to carry on board. So there's going to be a lot of trial and error to find the right performance situation in terms of numbers. In terms of the way it's been received, I think you speak to any of the girls and they all seem quite positive about the rule changes, and definitely see it as an opportunity to get into this race. You speak to some of the guys and the attitude is not quite so positive. I think for them, they just feel that there isn't the depth of talent to be able to choose sailors that are really going to complement the team. And so, yeah, a bit of a mixed bag on that one. I think with any situation where there's a rule change that's going to affect the minority group, there's always going to be some pushback amongst the guy, or those people who are already in the powerful positions. So it will be really interesting to see what happens come the start of this race next year. I think it's I'm a little bit sad about hearing some of the guys talking about how they would make up their crew, and it sounds as if there's also a rule in this race that you should know about, that you have to have 2 under 30 crew members. And my feeling is that the guys who will almost choose their under 30 as their female members, which is great for those under 30s, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't give us any continuation of the girls that were part of Team SCA. And that's what we're trying to build, is we're trying to build a pool of female sailors that will just continue through the sport. And the only way to get experience in this race is to do it. And then obviously you go back to it and do it again and again and again. And I'm just really conscious of the fact that we won't see a huge number of those SCA sailors who have now got one race under their belt coming through to do it again. I mean, maybe, Caroline, maybe you'd like to add in on that.
Yes, I think the way I see it, the new rule change, it's an opportunity for women, but it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, we as women would have liked it to see it happen faster or a bigger proportion in a way, but I think it does give an opportunity, and it is a step in the right direction. And I think that is the positive news coming out of this new rule. But at the same time, I fear, and I think also time is quickly running out, is the fact that by having this new rule, with 1 or 2 women possibly on board of a male boat, that we might, the consequences is that we might not see a female boat on the start line of the next race in October 2017. And that, I think, is a shame, because obviously being able to continue the momentum and the legacy and build a legacy that Team SCA created in the previous race is obviously what our goal and our aim should be. So, yeah, for me, really a step in the right direction. But yes, we should always hope for more. And then as for the guys and girls sailing together. If we look back 4 years ago when they decided to make the NACRA 17, the multi-hull, the double-handed multi-hull in the Olympics, they made that compulsory mixed. And I remember at the beginning as well, there was a lot of controversy. There was a lot of talk about it, positive, negative. But in the end, they are now 4 years later, so they've done one Olympic cycle, and everyone's actually really happy. It's turned out, it's worked out really well, and it's been very positive from both sides. It's an opportunity for the girls, for the women, but also the guys have actually seen it as a positive thing. So that's a little bit how I hope it will be in the Volvo Ocean Race as well. We'll see, hopefully in 2018, when we're all at the finish in Scheveningen in Holland, we'll be able to look back and say, hey, this was actually pretty good, and that it starts to become more of a normal thing. And I think that's what we all have to look forward to.
Have you had any interest from any of the crews? I know Dongfang have just indicated they're coming back with Charles Quadrelia, the skipper. Has there been any interest in any approach to any of the girls from Team SCA's former crew?
I can't really answer that directly. I mean, we keep in touch with a core group and with a wider group as regularly as we can. And, really it's up to each and their own if they're pursuing another race with a Volvo team. As far as I'm aware, I don't think there have been any approaches. I guess this is only a rule that's come about sort of 2 weeks ago, so we're still very new. I think the dust is still settling, and people are obviously at the drawing board thinking about what is the best combination from a performance factor, from a weight factor, looking at what skills are available, what's going to work. So I think it's probably early days to see any sign-ups or trials or anything like that. But I probably come March next year, when the boats start to roll out of refit, we'll start to see more teams coming online. That could be a few months away, but let's hope by that time that there will be some more opportunities and some more progression of lady sailors being part of existing Volvo teams.
And what has been the reaction from other crew members, Team SEA, but specifically crew members, or other sailors who were hoping to get an opportunity at the Volvo sometime?
It's a very mixed bag in terms of thoughts of the SEA crew that I've approached and had discussions with. Most of them seem really happy with this decision, and they feel that it is opening up the opportunities. And, it's almost, from a numbers perspective, it's kind of a little bit silly to be going with 7. It's just so hard physically, and in terms of the sleep deprivation and just physically being able to sail the boat well. 7 is a really slim number, and I think performance-wise, you would want to be going with more crew than 7. So, and effectively that is why Mark Turner has brought this rule into the race. It is to encourage female sailors. So I think in general the reaction is good. There is a real concern amongst some of the sailors that I've chatted to that the female sailors out there are not going to be employed for their sailing skills as such. It's more those secondary roles on board, such as assisting with navigation, boat captain duties, things like that. There does seem to be a general positive feel, but it's a cautious one. Is this rule going to backfire, or is it going to bring more females into the sport? Are we going to increase that pool, and then hopefully a few years down the line we won't be having this conversation about gender? It will be more focused on skill.
This is an enormous skill set that you guys you gather over time. So how do you get the experience if you bring on the legacy and give opportunities to young girls to continue that if you don't get on the boat? That's the killer, isn't it, Carolijn?
Well, I think, yes, you're very right in saying sailing is an experienced sport, and definitely in the Volvo Ocean Race or in offshore sailing, it almost seems like that counts double. So yes, from that perspective, it's really important that we don't end up in the situation like we had 12 years ago, when it was before Team SEA, the last time there was a women's team in the Volvo Ocean Race with Ehler Sports 2. And then it took another 12 years before Team SEA came along. That cannot happen again. That would be a real shame. And I think it is very hard. It's a tough world out there. But I think what the Magenta Project has taken on and has actually happened since the end of the last Volvo, when it became known that SEA wasn't going to continue as a sponsor. The Magenta Project came to life, and the initial idea was, the goal mission was there should be a boat, another women's boat on the start line in 2017. But very quickly we noticed that, besides having had the experience now of going around the world with Team SEA, we also inspired a lot of young girls and women around the world, amongst hopefully also others. But And we decided that to keep the momentum going that we created with Team SCA, we had to, we created, there's clinics being done from the with the M32s, for example, and now just recently with the GC32s. So the fact that a wild card was awarded to a women's team, first time in history of the match racing tour, and then just recently a first full women's team in the extreme sailing series with the GC32. And actually just today I read that there will be a women's ranking in the Tour de Vrouw with the DM24. So slowly it seems like the ball is rolling. I'm not saying we're there yet, nowhere near, but these are all these different circuits and different types of boats are giving girls and women the opportunity to sail more and to keep sailing and to keep getting that experience. And yeah, I guess that's what it's all about. The training week on the GC32 in Cowes this summer was a great opportunity for girls to jump on to a foiling boat for the first time in their lives and get experience what it's like to be flying on a boat. The guys have been doing that for a while, and now the girls are getting this opportunity as well. And they're small steps, but they're all steps in the right direction. And I think, the initiatives the Magenta Project's taking and many other networks and organizations around, it might just be just little bits, but all the little bits together in the end are going to make the difference.
Yes, you mentioned there the foiling, Abby. The extreme sailing seems to be all the rage now. This is the new trend in sailing, isn't it? Giving women the opportunity to, as Carolijn says, fly over the water. But it's a bit scary. You get up to some amazing speeds in that extreme sailing, don't you?
Yeah, it certainly is a very powerful and quite an extreme boat in a sense. It was a fantastic opportunity that was given to the Magenta Project by OC Sport in the summer. We basically had use of a GC boat while it was in some downtime, and used that chance to get as many girls that we knew were at that sort of level of sailing, but were just looking to get foiling in a team environment. And hence the aim was to really hope that we could get an entry for the GC Tour or for the Extreme Sailing Series. Luckily, Sharon Ferris was successful with that, and with Thalassa Magenta Racing, she had an entry to the Lisbon Extreme Sailing Series and really did well. For someone that's come in with very little experience, a lot of the girls in her team had literally done the week on board the GC back in the summer. And to step into a boat like that, which is so technical, and foiling is definitely a very different style of sailing. If you've come from monohull, it's one thing. If you've then sailed a catamaran, it's another thing. But to be on the foils is yet another. So I think the team did exceptionally well there, and they'll be pushing really hard to try and get an entry for the GC circuits for next year. Yeah,
very, very exciting to watch, I must say. But let's mention since we talked about Dee Kafari and how busy she's been of late, the Oman Sail Women's Programme, which she was involved with last year and I think previously, that's back in action next month, isn't it?
Yeah, starting next month, Dee will be back down in Oman with the girls team, training them and getting them ready for the Sailing Arabia, the tour, which is in February and March of next year. That's a mix of offshore and inshore races. And it takes part in the FAR 30, which is a one design boat, so all the boats are the same for the race. Yeah, so Dee goes down and will do probably 2 or 3 weeks with the team, and probably again in January she'll be back out for some more training. And yeah, that's just a fantastic opportunity for not only just for women in the sport, but for women in the Middle East. It's obviously not a huge sport in that part of the world. So it's great to be giving the opportunity to these women, and let's hope that they can improve on their performance from the race last year.
Yes, all about experience, isn't it? What else is happening that we need to mention, Abby, from the Magenta Girls' point of view as well? Because I know you've got Liz Wardley down there in another Team SCA sailor. She's in the boatyard in Lisbon prepping the boats now for next year's Volvo, isn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Liz's experience is she's very much a boat captain. She's very much hands-on with all the mechanics and the engineering side of the boat. So she has taken it upon herself to learn as much as she can about these boats. She's in here mending winches, fixing winches. She's up to her eyeballs in grease, and I guess loving it. So she's really getting in with the refit, working through all the one design factors of the boats. And she's going to be wanting to get a ride for the Volvo next year. So this is a great way to put yourself out there, to be part of it, to understand what's going on with the refit, and to really get down to the nitty gritty of what makes these boat works.
Okay, what about the rest of the girls? Caroline, first of all, what are you doing these days?
Well, I've actually back in Australia, not sailing at the moment here in Holland. I wouldn't dare go out sailing in this weather. This horrible weather when you can do it in Australia. So I have been a little bit spoiled, I have to say. But I actually obviously had the Volvo Ocean Race for the past 3 years, but my background is mainly dinghy sailing, and for probably 7 years mainly multi-hull sailing. So after the Volvo Ocean Race, I really enjoyed it. I love sailing on the big boats and the offshore sailing, but I also really enjoyed getting back into a dinghy, into a smaller boat. I think it also helps me in my offshore sailing, in my big boat sailing. It's all about feel, and so I went back into multi-hulls. And because a lot of the multi-hulls are flying at the moment, and I love the adrenaline and I like going fast, I went into the A class, which is very much a development class. It's a foiling 18-foot catamaran, single-handed, and I was lucky enough to get a lot of help and to get a lot of fast tracking into the class through the guys sailing the boat in Australia. And what I mainly focused on is with the foiling, it's the weight plays an important role. It's also quite physical, especially now they're starting to foil upwind. It's getting even the upwind foiling is even more physical. So the loads are very, very high on the boats. So you have to be physically quite strong, but it also helps to have a bit of weight. And often with the women, girls, and younger guys, so it's not just really for the women. It's often hard to be competitive in the class when you're a little bit lighter. And so I tried to, with the help of the more experienced guys in the A class, I tried to help develop a rig that would be more functional and more competitive for lighter people, basically. So whether that's women, girls, and or younger guys, or just simply lighter men that don't have the weight. And basically what we've developed, and the definitely hasn't finished in the A class, I think, and in the foiling development is never ending, I think. But I have been sailing with a shorter mast, a smaller mast, And with the foiling, all the sail areas, basically you want it down low. You don't see the big square heads, the big roaches in the top of the mainsails anymore. All the sail area is basically coming down low, and that's where you see in the America's Cup boats as well, where you get the deck sweeper sails. So basically the setup I have now is that I'm not really losing any sail area. The sail area is just moving from where it used to be in the top of the mast. It's actually coming down towards just deck height, basically, and that has helped me to be quite competitive in the A-class fleet in Australia and also worldwide. So. That's sort of been my focus. I haven't been sailing every weekend and 300 days a year, but it's keeping me busy, and it's keeping me thinking and developing in the sailing, which I for myself think is really important.
Keeping you fit by the sounds of things, and of course I'm sure you prefer to do that in Australia than anywhere else in the world. And now, what about the other girls? Abby, any other updates you'd like to add?
All of the girls are still really active in a wide range of sailing. Recently, the women's match race event that was held in Korea, we saw a number of the S2E1 girls competing in that. But it was great to see such a strong fleet, and it's not just all about the S2E1 girls. I mean, there is a really strong fleet of girls out there, and a lot of them coming up through the Olympic classes. And now, especially with this mix class in the NACRA. And I think it's just a really great time in the sport. We're seeing so many rule changes that are really aiming towards seeing more women in the sport. And there's more and more women sort of feeding through the different classes, whether it's the offshore classes and the single-handed stuff with the Mini, with the Figaro, the Class 40. There is just this sort of gentle feed coming through, and I think with these rule changes, I think there's a real positive vibe towards a big boost of female participation in the years to come.
Wonderful. Well, there is so much happening in the world. I'm so glad that you've been able to come on the show and give us an update, both of you. And just remind everybody, Abby, how they can find out more about the Magenta Project.
Yeah, sure. The Magenta Project, again, just to remind people, it stemmed off the back of the S2E1, a real feeling amongst the crew that we just didn't want to stop that momentum. We'd built up such a following and had inspired a lot of people into the sport and wider. So it felt really important that we kept that going. The Magenta Project was created, and just slowly over the last year, we've been chipping away with different ideas and just using our skills to promote clinics for women to give opportunities that wouldn't otherwise be there. We're planning a big program next year in the M32 and possibly in the GC32 if we can find the funds to make it happen. So we're just tapping away and really just hoping as a body that we have more prominence and more power, if you like, to seek sponsorship, and companies are starting to want to be associated with us, which is just a real boost and something that perhaps an individual wouldn't be able to achieve on their own. So if you want to find out more, just go to themagentaproject.org, and we're also on Facebook as the Magenta Project, and on social streams, Twitter and Instagram as the Magenta Proj.
Perfect. All right. Lots happening. And I'm so glad you guys have found a moment to join us from the boatyard in Lisbon, and Carolijn from your base in the Netherlands. We will follow what you're doing with interest. Hopefully you'll come back to keep us apprised here of what's happening in the world of sailing for women.
I certainly will. It's exciting times, and just trying to keep track of everything that's going on is quite hard, but it's good. It's all good news. So, yeah, I'd love to come back.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Have fun in Lisbon. And Carolijn, when are you heading to Australia, to the sunshine again?
In about 10 days, and I can't wait.
I'll bet. All right. Well, thank you both for taking the time to come on the program. That is Abby Ehler and Carolijn Brouwer from Team Magenta, Team S2E1, whoever you like to refer to them. They are the the most amazing sailors in the world. And as they said, they're keeping the legacy going for women sailors and opportunities for women around the world to take part in all those different classes of sailing. So we will continue to follow their progress here on the Sailing Show, and we'll be back again next month. Until the next time, don't forget to check out all the other global women's sports coverage at wispsports.com and follow us on social media at Wisp Sports. I'm Chris Stafford, and you've been listening to The Sailing Show here at Wisp Sports Radio. Until the next time, thank you for listening. Goodbye for now.